Tonight, the South Lawn of the White House has been turned into President Trump's political stage, signs and all. He's about to cap the Republican convention by accepting the party's nomination in a made-for-TV moment filled with spectacle, fireworks, giant signs with his name on it, and attacks on Democrats. This hour, former Vice President Joe Biden breaks his silence and hits back at the president in advance. My one-on-one interview with him is straight ahead. Welcome to CNN's coverage of the final night of the Republican National Convention. I'm Anderson Cooper. Tonight, President Trump will offer voters a stark choice between two candidates, two visions of America, and perhaps two versions of reality. Wolf, the president thinks he is his own best salesman, clearly, and this is his big pitch tonight.
Certainly is, Anderson. The president will give his speech live from an elaborate stage. You see it there on the South Lawn of the White House with as many, get this, as 2,000 invited guests sitting there in the audience. That's an alarmingly large crowd right in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic. Only those nearest to the president, we're told, will actually be tested for the virus. And as you can see, no one is required to wear a mask during the speech. The president clearly is ready and willing to use the trappings of his office to promote his agenda and himself, as we have seen throughout this convention. Tonight, he'll be introduced by his daughter and senior advisor, Ivanka Trump, and we expect his family also to be on hand. We're covering all of it with our political team, including Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, and Abby Phillip. Jake, so what more are you learning about the president's speech?
Well, if Republicans say that President Trump will address the hurricane disaster in Texas and Louisiana, as one would expect any president to do, we're also told he will discuss the racial unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The big question is, how? Will he address the fact that a white policeman shot an unarmed black man 7 times in the back in front of his 3 young boys? Will he discuss the 17-year-old white supporter of his who was arrested for felony counts of killing protesters? Will he try to seek a way to heal this nation, to unite this nation, or will he use American pain and trauma as a cudgel to attack Joe Biden and the Democrats? Now, I suspect we know the answer, but we shall see. So much of this convention has seemed to be about trying to convince voters that what polls suggest they think about President Trump in terms of his views on minorities or women or immigrants or his handling of the coronavirus pandemic, that what they think is wrong. And that way, Dana, this is kind of a convention of who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?
Well, Jake, President Trump will get some help tonight from one of his most aggressive defenders and consistent ones at that. His lawyer, his friend, and the former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who will double, even triple down on Republicans' law and order message. The Trump team tells us that Giuliani will go after Democratic mayors in big cities, including Bill de Blasio of New York, attempting to shred their records, especially on crime. That, despite Giuliani promising at the GOP convention 4 years ago that Donald Trump would be the one to make America safe. The widow of a retired police captain will also speak tonight to add an emotional punch to the tough on crime, tough on protesters mantra. Ann Dorn's husband was killed while defending a friend's store when protests turned violent in St. Louis this year. And Abby, we've seen and heard some real contradictory messages this week, but tonight will maybe be one of the most vivid. We're going to hear from somebody like Ann Dorn, and the same night, another prominent speaker is Alice Johnson.
Yeah, Dana, it'll be pretty stark tonight. On a night that President Trump is going to be hammering home this law and order message, we're also going to be hearing a powerful argument for second chances from Alice Johnson. She has become the face of President Trump's efforts on criminal justice reform, and that's usually something that is a bigger priority for Democrats. But Johnson spent 2 decades in prison despite being a first-time nonviolent offender. The president commuted her sentence after lobbying by Kim Kardashian. We expect her speech to be personal and emotional, and the same goes for tonight's remarks by Carl and Marcia Mueller, who will argue the president has been tough on terrorism. You may remember their daughter Kayla was killed by ISIS, and the U.S. mission that killed ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was named after her. The Republicans are leaning on everyday Americans to highlight what the campaign says is Trump's record of accomplishments, with the hope of moving voters on an emotional level. Anderson?
And we're getting new details on the president's speech tonight. I want to go straight to our White House correspondents, Jim Acosta and Caitlin Collins.